thank you for coming back to the Dickinson Adventures. Today we are in Jacksonville, Florida, and we came back home, y'all, for a very special interview. Okay, this interview may be seen as a little controversial, just a little, but we're here and we're ready to have this conversation.
Yes,
alrighty. So right here I have Miss Sydney, and she's gonna tell you more about her business, and what her specialty is.
Hello, I'm Sydney Meadows, Sydney Dupree Meadows, and I'll say this, even my middle name means in the meadows. Everything about me is plants, right? So one of the best parts is that I actually started as a zoologist, but in college, as I was working for the Fish and Wildlife Service, I ended up needing a botany tool. And in that botany tool, that's where I got more into plants and more into mycology, which is the study of mushrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've worked for the Jacksonville Zoo, the St. Louis Zoo, Fish and Wildlife Service, but now it's time for me to put my own roots down and have my own farm, as well as have my own dispensary in multiple states as well as internationally. And that's what we're working on right now.
Okay, all right. So for those who may not have caught on, can you please let us know about your industry?
Well, as an agriculturalist, basically, I've been on the food, natural resources, and agriculture pathway since I was in 4-H, maybe 5 years old, since I was a kid.
Okay.
I was an FFA. I even have chartered a FFA chapter here in the city of Jacksonville.
Wow.
And then for you guys that don't know, that's Future Farmers of America. So it kind of starts right there in agriculture, because where I'm from, which is Illinois, that is where a lot of the industry is at, agriculture, right? So basically, in agriculture, it ended up being that I wanted to work within the cannabis industry, because I went and got my master's and found out that I was being a pool keeper, making about $8 an hour to do that.
Oh, wow.
And so I studied a little bit more, got a biotechnology certification, and I decided that I would go ahead and delve back into get into cannabis and get into the industry. And right now in the state of Illinois, it is about a few bucks from making $1 billion just this year.
Wow.
$1 billion.
Okay.
And Illinois is shaping up to be the largest in the cannabis industry. So at this point, my thought is, why not make money? Why not do something that people enjoy, as well as the issue, and touch on the issue of why there are not a lot of African Americans, Black people in the cannabis industry. And that was something that was really important to me, because I know a lot of people in the cannabis industry. I know a lot of people who have gone, I've heard of a lot of people who have gone to prison for being in the cannabis industry. However, we're not actually shown as any type of data or demographic in the cannabis industry. So it was important to me, being educated in the sciences and just having a passion for it, to be in that industry. And it hasn't been easy.
People feel like cannabis is taboo.
Right,
Okay,
they do.
so can you tell us and educate our viewers, just tell us some of the benefits of the industry and why it's important.
Okay, well, when you said the benefits of the industry, it's important because of the taxes, for one. The amount of benefits schools can take in, universities, roads, all of that.
Wow.
And they're just throwing that out of the way. The average for one inmate is $30,000 a year that they're again throwing away, right?
Wow.
So the taxpayers are paying $30,000 a year. They could be saving money right there alone. However, the benefits for the body are numerous. Anti-inflammatory, anti so many things. I don't want to sit here and tell you that there's at least 30 to 50 different things that cannabis can help. And of course, with the FDA, we're not supposed to say all of these things because cannabis is not, FDA approved. However, in more than half of the states in the United States, cannabis is used as a more than just recreational, and it's a medicinal item. Yeah, so it's used as medicinal in so many states. It's used as recreational, like I said, in more than half of the states, and people are using it to self-medicate to make sure that they can solve a host of issues that they have in their bodies. So, and the thing is that they're not getting hooked on Oxycontin They're not getting hooked on meth. They're not getting hooked on the drugs that are far harsher on their systems and are actually tearing apart America. So it's actually, you know, something that you should actually research and see if it's right for you. And I talk to your doctor quite possibly to see if it's right for you, but it has helped a plethora of people for a plethora of things.
Yeah, I know I've heard of a lot of the different benefits.
Yes.
I even have it inside of my book with some of the benefits in there in the glossary, so I definitely understand. All right, thank you so much for that information, telling us the benefits and everything. We also want to know, we ask all of the farmers and people that are in the agriculture industry, like, what are some of the challenges that you face when you're in this industry specifically?
Very good question. Wow. One of the challenges I think are that a lot of people face in the industry is all of the paperwork. We had to do paperwork from A through B exhibits. The multi-state organizations, I think they only had to do A through E, which was interesting. However, we had to submit about 300 to 400 pages of paperwork. That's maybe a lot, but I, you know, you just keep going. You just chisel it all the way. You know, the law is there almost to be plagiarized because they really want to know that you know the law. Unless you put the exact law in there, they're not going to know that you're talking about the law, right? So a lot of that is filling in, you know, just reading the thousands of pages of the law. Another big challenge that I know that we face is liquidity, you know, just having enough money to start the cannabis business. Well, a lot of businesses are coming in to, you know, fix that. There's always angel investors, things like that. But even, you know, in the state that you're in, pushing them for social equity, because in the state of Illinois, they have $700,000 to give for the qualified applicants. So, you know, at the end of the day, there's plenty of tax money that can be given back to the actual citizens. So just actually a challenge would be making sure that our lawmakers do the right thing and that we're there. That's a challenge, making sure that that we're there in the rooms during the time that the laws are being presented, signed, created. And as I said, the liquidity, we have to have $20,000 liquid cash. So keeping your assets liquid is important. Making sure that you're working with the right team that does have those assets and that does have the background, that can be a challenge. However, we know for a fact that there's plenty of people in the cannabis industry that you can work with. However, a huge challenge that I actually witnessed with some of my organization business in the Virgin Islands was that a lot of people didn't want to be involved in the cannabis industry legally at all, right? They don't trust the government and they don't want to pay the taxes, right? So it's one of those things where those are the challenges that I faced. However, I don't let any of that stop me. You know, don't let any of that stop you. Our ancestors, our people, the people that are behind prison, they all need our voices and they all need our faces out front, you know? So to me, those are pretty small challenges because what you want is the right people to work with you. You always want to be a solutions person, right? You don't want the wrong people to work with you. You know, you want someone who's passionate about it, right? You want the right angel investors. There's plenty of people out there that possibly have property, possibly have those, you know, savings, right? And then also, obviously, the liquidity, you just want to keep on saving. Get into Bitcoin, you know, get into cryptocurrencies, get into Forex. Keep on stacking and keep on working that side hustle. Keep on putting your brand out there because at the end of the day, we don't know how long it's going to take for the governments to come through and do the things that they said they were going to do and legalize or decriminalize specifically cannabis. However, if you're working on your shirt brands, you're working on your women in cannabis brands. That's an industry that I'm working on that I don't really think a lot of people have touched on. Start working in the ancillaries and then keep on stacking that money so that your assets are liquid. You know, so that's something that can be a challenge, but there's always solutions to everything. And just sitting in the moment and making sure that it can all come to you, because I feel like for every challenge there's been a solution for sure.
Definitely.
Yes.
And we got to keep that mindset.
We do.
Solution oriented.
Yes.
Yeah, instead of thinking about all of the problems.
Yes.
All right. So another thing that we like to ask is, does your journey have any historical significance? Does this industry have any historical significance to you? maybe a family member or anything like that, maybe been in the industry. Can you help us with that?
Well, in 2014, I'll start there right now. In 2014, my daughter was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. This is actually something I've actually never talked about. Later on, my son was also diagnosed with the same thing. And it was amazing because during that time, Charlotte's Web, and Charlotte has since passed on, she was having seizures. And Florida legalized CBD usage for children. And I thought, if that can help a child with seizures, it prolonged this girl's life. She was having 300 seizures a day and went to having one a month. If it could prolong her life and make her life better, maybe this can help my children. After a certain amount of time, they did start having pain. It did start creeping in. And I kid you not, I wouldn't even say this, the CBD has kept that at bay.
Wow.
Has kept the the inflammation at bay. They are some of the healthiest, most energetic children that anybody, knows. And that was when I knew for a fact that CBD, the THC, hemp, this industry in agriculture was beneficial. Historically, let's go back further. There's so many people who have been forerunners in this industry that look a lot like me, that might look a lot like you. They look like people all over the world. Cannabis arrest does not exclude anyone, okay? It has been a reason to harass people for decades. The war on drugs has been a war on the American people. And that war in itself has historically been something I haven't agreed with, as well as something that has harmed our communities. And that's why I know, as me, myself, an intelligent person, a person that is respected by so many people, it was important for me to go ahead and speak out about my passion for cannabis in the industry, as well as the harms and effects that the government, our United States, our lands, have actually played on people when on one side of the dime, people are making billions of dollars, millions of dollars, where on the other side, even as far as March, where in Illinois, where a place where all of the arrests for cannabis should have been expunged, we're still 90 people in prison. 90. And I can't imagine that, even as we can't get our licenses, even as we don't get our licenses, I guess the other multi-state operators, the larger companies, they've opened up now up to 110 cannabis dispensaries in the state of Illinois. So, I don't mean to be upset about that, but why is that okay for some people to make millions of dollars, but it's okay for some people to lay on a hard concrete slab at night, missing their families? That historically has been why I fight for decriminalization of cannabis, as well as the rights of the people to choose what medicines they would like to use that are also healthy for their bodies, So that's why cannabis historically is important to me. I know that, the meth pandemic, the epidemic of meth has ravaged the United States. This isn't over yet. We could have went a different direction, and yet every time we don't, something bad happens. I would like to set the right straight at this time, and I would like for a chance for people to have what they deserve. To have what they deserve, the respect that they deserve, the time and the money that they deserve. And so historically, that's how I felt. And I'm not going to stop fighting. I'm not going to stop helping until the last person, is either set free or, they stop these arrests. And then they also fairly distribute the licenses in a way that's socially equitable to the people who have fought so hard to pull up an industry by its bootstraps and to keep a medicine being distributed to the people who needed it. So I just really appreciate so much that you were able to ask me to speak. It's been my pleasure. And I love what y'all are doing. It's very inspirational. And I just hope that one day, I can come back again, maybe in a week from now, and tell you that I too am making those millions of dollars in cannabis, right? that we have our mycology farm and institute going, and that we just have great things that we can continue to educate our people.
Definitely.
And because you're doing that right now, and you're still doing that, I just honor you. I'm just really thankful.
Yes, and we thank you. I really thank you. I learned a lot today. Learned a lot about the plant. Learned a lot about the industry. Even the practices. Like, I didn't know a lot of that stuff about the extra fees, about being held up and people still in jail and supposed to get out. I didn't know all of that. So I really appreciate that knowledge. I appreciate you coming on and sharing it with our viewers. One last question.
Yes.
If you may.
Yes.
Can you please encourage our viewers, anybody who may want to get into hemp, cannabis, may want to get into farming, do you have any last words of encouragement for them?
Never quit.
Yes.
One of the biggest things about agriculture is that they wanted to take your ability to provide food for yourself, shelter for yourself, warmth for yourself out of your hands. They wanted to make it so it wasn't cool and that it didn't make any sense to do that. But we know, especially after this pandemic, that things, they seem a little bit uncertain sometimes. And to me, the only thing that's certain is that I can put a seed in the ground and 9 times out of 10 it's gonna grow.
Yeah.
So my thoughts is that never quit, never give up for what you deserve and what you believe in, and always keep educating yourself and striving for the best.
Yeah, that's very good advice, Sydney. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming to watch us. Hope that you learned a lot today, and we hope that you come back and chill with the Dickinson Adventure.